Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this show is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and we are coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock in one of the most beautiful winters that I can remember from the recent years. Every day is more beautiful than the day before. And we have, with the Historical Society guests this evening, we have a really, really exciting show because the Historical Society has got a big project. So would you like to introduce yourself, and then we'll talk about this fun thing that you guys are doing?
Sure. So I'm Janine Mower, and I'm part of the board of the Historical Society of Woodstock, and I've been affiliated with the Historical Society for a few years, and I'm excited to be part of this new phase, I think is the best way to put it. It's an exciting new phase for the Historical Society. We're going to celebrate our 100th rather, in 2029. So we've got some exciting things to happen as we run up to that. So
we're not going to be 100.
No.
Well, you speak for
we feel that way
yourself. I mean, we don't know. We don't know that
sometimes. Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself?
I am Richard Heppner. I'm the town historian, co-historian with Janine at Woodstock. Janine's vice president. I'm president of the Historical Society, and we're glad to be back.
Well, I'm so excited. I think this is wonderful. I understand that there's a new building afoot.
There is. We think, yeah, there is.
No, there is. Yeah, I think we're at that place where it's real now, right?
Yeah.
It is real.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A little background. Janine alluded to. The Historical Society is actually 96 years old. Started in 1929, and it was started by a small group of Woodstockers who were afraid, things were passing into time and they wouldn't be remembered. So they gathered at the home of Conrad Kramer, the artist, and started the Historical Society of Woodstock in 1929, like I said. And at first, they didn't have a facility or a building or anything. So what they did was they wrote essays about Woodstock history and had people like Hervey White and Bolton Brown and others write essays, and they published them maybe once a year, Janine, or twice a year. Yeah,
Yep.
part of
Yes.
Whenever they got one together, they
Yep.
published them, and it's a great series of books, small pamphlets almost, about that contains a lot of Woodstock history. The library, I believe, has a set. We have a set. They published until the 1950s. These essays on Woodstock history. And I know Janine and I use them all the time for research and the things about the artists, early artists, things about the early forest here and chestnut trees and bluestone quarrying and all those wonderful things that are part of Woodstock history. In the early 80s, the Historical Society got to the building?
That's a great question. I'm thinking I'm going to use the 1987, the bicentennial celebration, as a benchmark. So could have been a couple of years before or a couple of years after. I can't be 100% sure, but I know in 1987 when we were doing the celebration for the town's 200th, we were there at that building at that time. So, but before that, it was just a matter of the organization was nomadic in different little spots around town. But thankfully, they landed there, because then the important thing to remember is it's not only just people going out and collecting anecdotes about Woodstock. It's also bits and pieces of different types of things that you would remember Woodstock by. So that, ergo, the archives.
Right.
And you needed a place to call it home, and at least in 1985, let's say, there then became on Como Drive a building to have the archives in a place, not in a very good condition. Of course, we all can say that, and that's part of the pressure to do what we're doing now, is to get it in a modern.
Over the years, we've spent, we've upgraded the building quite a bit with insulation, heat,
right? Yeah.
Air conditioning, track lighting.
Now, this is the building that you
Currently,
talk about,
yeah.
that we have the Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, our
And it's
Christmas
where
fair.
we have all
Right.
our exhibits.
Right, right.
And upstairs are the archives. And we have in the archive, so at a certain point, the Historical Society began collecting things. That accumulated over the years and was kept in various houses, and so a lot of it ended up at the library at one point. Right today, we have a data, whole computerized database now in the archive. And we have some 10,000 search terms in that database that you can look up. That includes photographs, books, ephemera, maps, minutes from old committees,
Woodstock dresses,
Woodstock dresses,
quilts,
obituaries.
obituaries. No, I mean, there's.
We have files on
yeah.
hundreds of people that have gone through Woodstock's history. It's quite an operation.
It's significant, right? It definitely is, yeah.
And I should add, everybody's a volunteer. Nobody, we don't have paid staff, so we kind of work our tails off every day.
And so this new building, this is where the archives are going to go?
Yeah, the problem with the old building is, it's a wooden building. There's some dampness in it. It's done well to preserve. Everything we have is well preserved in terms of archival boxes and properly stored and temperature and all that. But we also have some over almost 800 paintings, and a lot of them by the great Woodstock artists. So this idea, and we got to do a shout out to Jean White, who was a longtime board member, and when she passed away, we were the beneficiaries of her estate, and that has given us a jump start on funding for this new building. So the new building is going to be right next to the old building, pretty much, and exclusively for the archives, exclusively
Research, right?
Huh?
Research.
Research.
Yeah.
We get a lot of researchers coming through, but it's also professionally designed to be an archival storage building with proper climate control. I mean, we're even down to what kind of paint we can use. The fumes, certain fumes are toxic. We have a firewall going in, so in case there is a fire.
Have you broken ground on this?
We're trying to, but climate change kind
weather's
of
in
went
the
away
way.
for the winter, and we've had a normal winter here in Woodstock,
Yes.
so we weren't able to. We're about ready. As soon as
As the ground gets ready, you can put the
Yeah.
shovels in, right?
So we can put shovels in, yeah.
Let me say a quick, for Jean White, I was talking about her earlier with a friend, and so Jean White was probably with the Historical Society for a good 20 years, I'd
Oh,
say,
at least,
right?
yeah.
She was part of the team that brought the Historical Society into the future as far as getting it up to speed with how its archives are stored. And she is part of the McDaniel and Cash Dollar heritage of Woodstock, which takes her family back into the 19th century and the 18th century, maybe, with the McDaniels. So she had a deep love for Woodstock and a deep love for the Historical Society, and she put that love to real good work with letting us be part of her bequest. So we're very grateful to her for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just a wonderful, non-assuming woman.
Yeah.
At 80 years old, I'd go in and find her on a ladder.
Yes.
Hanging an exhibit or something.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but Janine mentioned she's part of the Cash Dollar family, which at one point owned the Homestead, which was a boarding house where Cumberland Farms is today. Nice, beautiful little house. And it was home to a lot of the actors who came through town appearing at the Woodstock Playhouse. And but they go back to up on the mountain.
Yes, yeah.
It's quite a Woodstock family.
Yeah, and she was good enough to do us a favor and write about it. We have one of her little booklets for sale at the Historical Society. So it's kind of fun to know that we'll have that connection with her for the future.
For that building.
She kicked us off on this great journey, so.
Can I make an aside here and ask, now, your building is not open to, the old building, the one that you're using now, not the new one, but the old one is not open to the public yet, is it, in the
Well,
season?
The archives are open for research
By appointment, yeah.
by appointment.
By appointment?
Right. But the
Okay.
exhibits, we shut down the exhibits for after Christmas.
And then when do you open them back up again?
We're debating right now. We usually open in May. We're not sure where the construction will take us in terms of parking and space and piles of dirt and things. But we plan on opening
Probably midsummer sometime.
by June.
Well, you know, the thing is
And there's
that
2 exhibits planned already. So.
once you start this new building,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to become your focus.
Well,
You know, I mean, you can only spread yourself so thin.
Well, we have teams of people that
Yeah.
will,
Really?
Richard's a team of and his crew will focus on the building, I think, and then Debbie Heppner and her team will focus on the exhibits, I think. So I think
Yeah.
there's specificity, if you will, in the organization.
So
we
when
have
the-
more committees than you can shake a stick at.
Well, that's
We
good.
do.
That's good. So that means that
Yes.
while people are visiting in the summer, they can see how this building is
Yeah.
progressing.
Well, I think-
Once we get started, it'll go fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It's a metal building.
Yeah,
And it'll
Concrete
go fairly
slab,
quickly.
yeah.
But for example, there's one committee working on the building itself. And there's another committee working on what's going inside the building. We hope to have digital workstations and all those types of things, better computer access. But mainly, the main thing is that we're going to finally be able to say we're protecting our archives as best as we can.
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah.
That's
I mean, we have
wonderful.
some great stuff. If people ever, want to look for something, or Janine's great on the genealogy of things, but we go back to the 1700s. To me, the prize thing in the archives is a lease signed by Robert Livingston in the 1700s. Livingston used to own all of Woodstock, basically.
And we have down rent war.
Down Rent War, yeah.
Memorabilia, glass factory,
The
ephemera,
glass factory
right,
ledgers.
right.
Yeah, when the glass factories were here, they actually had a store that the workers would, I don't know, not borrow, but instead of getting
company store.
paid, they'd go to the little store and take out, supplies. We have stuff in the mountain houses. We have quite a collection.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So I think this is exciting. So you're going to have work on this building, and then you're also going to have, right beside it, you're going to have the old building with the exhibits.
Correct.
And
Right.
so it's going to be functioning.
Yes.
And when people come and go, they can see how the new building is
I
progressing.
think that's a great point, because I think it'll build interest when someone comes randomly to visit the exhibit, or if we have a program, it'll give people that may not know anything about the Historical Society, they're just coming in for a program, let's say, they're going to say, what's going on? And then
Right.
we'll have the opportunity to tell them what we're doing and the progress that we've made for the archives and the art that we have to give it a new home. So I think it's it's going to be a little tricky, parking is always a problem, but hopefully we can get people to park on the lower Como parking lot, and we'll make sure the path up is in good shape, and that it'll be easier for people that are able to make that trek up the little hill there. So somehow it'll work out. Well, it always does.
Well, I've decided that parking is not a problem in Woodstock. It's, that is just the way the parking is.
Yes.
And we do have parking spaces. We do have people. You will have trails. You will have them marked. And so we really don't have a problem.
No, that's it. It's only
well,
a
just-
problem if you make it a problem. right?
Absolutely.
I get you.
We just don't have that anymore.
No, I mean, hopefully I think, again, parking in the lower Como lot is easier, if you will, if you're able to do that.
And I think another plus that I have been looking at is the fact that you have the building that exists now, that everybody is used to, that we have been using, and all of those things. And then this is going to be right there.
Yes.
Because sometimes when associations and businesses or whatever expand, the expansion is out there somewhere. And the two are not connected.
No, these is going to be a campus. I think we floated that word around, right? It's the bathroom will be in the other building.
You're going to have a bathroom?
No, it'll be in our building that we use now. So for the public, so there'll still be a handicap bathroom. Our kitchen will still be in the other building. So they'll be in conjunction with each other as far as use.
Well, it's important too,
Yeah.
and we've gone through a lot of clearances for all of this. There's a Como committee we've been to a couple times, town board a couple times. We've worked closely with the Land Conservancy because a lot of that property is under an easement. We've worked with the planning board and the building office. It's been a trail of making sure we connect everything correctly, because we're stewards of that area, and we want to keep it. What we're doing is fitting for that area and not disturbing that area, even down to the colors.
And I love your area. I love the church that is in front of it, and I love the station house bar.
Yep.
I just the whole and the little bridge and everything.
Right, and they actually all connect. You can go
Yes.
from the station bar across the little covered bridge up the Lower Como Trail. So that's sort of how they can all connect.
If we have a bad day, we go down the trail to the station bar.
Right. And then if the conditions are just right, you go just right past it and get a cookie.
Yeah.
It's a really nice area.
So Richard talked about we have a lot of committees, and I think the one committee that we haven't really fleshed out yet, but will be sort of like a landscaping committee to put the landscaping back together. And part of the daydream is for apple trees.
Yeah, Jonathan Apple.
Jonathan Apples in what is the Alf Evers Park.
Yep.
So that's that green space that flows up the hill towards the larger Como lot up at the top of the hill. So that'll be a crew of people that are, have a good sense about them, about landscaping and, the way visuals should be. Yeah.
Over the years, we had 3 apple trees in that park. They've all, age and wind and
Right.
storms have
Disease,
taken them down.
yeah.
So we're going to, we talked a
Replace
little bit to some of the tree people, and we're going to replace it with the Jonathan Apple, which was developed right here in Bearsville, and we're going to replace those trees with Jonathan Apple trees.
And that is so very, very important. One of the first things that impressed me about Woodstock when I came was that, and you still see it today, this year, last summer, you see volunteers doing the gardening all over the town. People garden in this town, and it makes a difference.
Sure, of course it does.
And because we don't pass ourselves off as being so professional, it has a very welcoming personality.
Sure.
And the idea of having the Jonathan Apples is exciting.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of Woodstock history too. And there used to be a lot of orchards in Woodstock throughout the town. And one of the great stories that Alf Everson used to tell was how everybody during the fall made sure they had enough hard cider to get through the winter. Okay, and we're talking a lot of jugs of hard cider. And he would tell the story about one of the Herricks.
No, I don't remember this. Yeah.
I forget which Herrick it was, but the Herricks were builders in this town. They built Burr Cliff, they built a lot of the houses. And one of the Herricks said, you can get through the winter in Woodstock cheap. You get up in the morning, take to your jug, and you don't need any breakfast. Then you take your jug and you go to your neighbor's house and you spend the day with him. And you come home at dinner time and you're not hungry and you go right to bed. And that way you
You stay out of trouble that way too, right?
get through the winter cheap. Yes.
Oh, that's
Well,
cute.
you know the area of Orchard Lane, right?
Yes.
Around there, well, it's called Orchard Lane for a good reason. There's pictures looking from Schoonmaker Lane area, looking back towards town, and you can see there's a whole huge orchard there that would be behind Lasher's and in that whole area. So there you go, the name of Orchard Lane,
So that's why we have it.
one of the reasons.
So you've got a committee that's going to do the landscaping.
Oh, we do everything.
And you do, well, what committees need new volunteers?
Oh, well, we always can use volunteers, and especially, basically, I don't know, what would you say, Janine, for anything?
Well, I think a
Publicity.
volunteer, so we need folks that are willing to be able to help us on days that we have programs. So help with the hospitality, there's one part of that. There's a part of there's always people that need to work in the archives, but that needs a little training, but there again, we still need a few people to help with that. So there's people that can help put exhibits up, there's people that can help do the outside work, the building of the old building has maintenance needs.
Yeah, there's always
Those
painting.
kind of things.
Yeah.
There's, a couple of extra hands for mailings. We do mailings during the year for fundraising or membership. And the more hands you have to do that, it makes the job go a lot quicker. I think we have good team leaders, so we'd need a few people to help the team leaders out. I think that's where.
But if you're interested in history and, the archives, especially when we get the new building, I mean, in many ways a tedious but an extremely important process. I mean, we take something in, we don't just take anything in. It has to have a Woodstock connection, we give you a deed of gift, then we create a collection in your name. That collection gets a specific 9-digit number. That 9-digit, and there's a whole write-up that's done on that object, photographs if necessary. Then it goes over to the computers and it's entered into the database, and there you go. And then it's on file, and put in an archival box somewhere and, on the shelf. And somebody wants to come in and say, "Hey, you got that Thurman Greco article or whatever?" And we can pull it up.
And that's where you get your exhibits from.
It can be,
Mostly, yeah,
yes,
sure,
yeah.
sure. Like I said, we have a large painting collection too. So what a lot of the exhibits do is they combine photographs with paintings of the similar areas, and it's a nice eclectic.
Yeah, we're
way
very
to do it.
fortunate to have that, because you can give different visual looks when you have the artwork and you have photography and then you have ephemera that go along with it, so.
Occasionally we branch. I think this summer, right now, what's planned is a summer women's artist, Woodstock women's artist exhibit.
Really?
Yeah. And also.
Do you know when that's going to go up?
That's going up in the summer, early summer, June probably.
Wow.
Again, we're still a little hesitant on exact dates because of the construction. And then the other exhibit's going to be an interesting one. Karen Bevitt, who was, I think, worked in before she became a professional nurse,
Right.
worked in every eatery
Restaurant, yeah.
and bar in town,
Right.
and took a lot of photographs. So basically, it's going to be an exhibit of Woodstock in the 1970s.
Really?
Yeah. It's going to be nice. Yeah.
Should be fun, yeah. And I think people like exhibits. Of course, the Woodstock women artists is an exhibit that's good to honor artists, women artists, Woodstock women artists. So it has a different kind of an appeal. But when you put together an exhibit like Karen's will be, that's a hometown exhibit, because people will know everybody that's in the pictures, pretty much.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be like the John Kleinhans exhibit.
The John
in a way.
Kleinhans exhibit,
Right.
which we did last summer.
Right.
John has been taking pictures photographs of Woodstockers for years, and he put them together all in one exhibit last year. I think there's 90 different photographs,
that
90
sounds
different
right.
people.
Yep.
It was probably the largest turnout we ever had.
Yes.
The good thing is you got 90 people on the wall, and they all got family members, so they all show up, and so it was quite successful.
Yeah,
But it was Woodstockers, And it's nice to look at the old buildings sometimes, and it's nice to look at the paintings. But we're a community of people, and that community needs to be represented as best we can sometimes. A number of years, I don't know, Woodstock Woman exhibit we did an exhibit called Gathering Woodstock Women.
It feels like it was in the early 2000s,
Well,
or?
it got- no, it was
Yeah,
later
yeah.
than that.
My grandchildren were involved in that somehow, so.
And basically, we went out and
Mid-2000s.
asked people, pick a woman that you knew in Woodstock. Doesn't have to be famous, but, a good representative of Woodstock. And they all wrote essays about the person they chose. And we had a photograph of each person on the wall next to the essay. And we took all of that and put it into a book, which you can get on Amazon.com. Little plug, but it's called Gathering Woodstock Women.
Yes.
And it was a nice exhibit.
It was like around 2015. I'm trying to remember because my grandchildren and their peers were we had them read about their relatives, and they all had stage fright. It was so sweet
right.
and heartwarming, you know. But they were nervous wrecks, but they did read, and so it must be the mid 2015s or something like that. They were old enough. Yeah, it's fun. It was a great little exhibit, and then the book itself. Actually, it's funny with that book now. This is sort of a little side conversation, but this Woodstock Cemetery Committee has a team of people that are cleaning headstones,
right.
and they're looking for volunteers. And the woman that's chairing that particular function was asking about how you learn about people that she's cleaning headstones of. She'd like to know a little bit more about them and be able to, have maybe a presentation. And I sent her a picture of Woodstock women. I said, I'll guarantee you everybody in this book is in that cemetery. And so she was excited to be able to have that information to get to know who she's taking care of in the cemetery.
Well, also, Janine and I did a book a few years back.
That's legend. It's time to do another. It's time to do another one.
Yeah, Legendary Locals of Woodstock.
Legendary Locals, right?
And it's similar format in a photograph of each person, and a couple paragraphs or whatever it took to explain their importance in Woodstock's story. And we only had one criteria: the person had to be not living.
Deceased. But there was a good reason why, right?
Yeah, the reason why was we didn't want anybody to come and go, why didn't you pick me for your book? We didn't want anybody yelling at us. So we figured if they weren't living, we could, but there's got to be, 70, 80 people in that book.
I think so, yes, yeah.
Well, you guys have some books also in town.
Yeah.
What are some other books that the two of you have in town?
No, Gene.
Well, at the CVS is carrying the Legendary Locals, and then the Images of Woodstock and Woodstock Revisited. So they have that Arcadia Publishing. I don't see it. I was just in there and I didn't see it, but
It's there.
Is
I
it there?
saw it
They
the
move
other
it
day.
around.
Every time I have to get a prescription, I look for it.
Okay, make sure.
Yeah.
It's
Getting older, I'm going more frequently.
Okay, I get you. But excuse me, that's there. Yeah, those are there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a rack of
you
local
have
books.
your
I have a murder, Woodstock
Infamous
infamous murder stories.
is there with that, right?
Which,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I haven't been in Golden Notebook since holidays, so I don't know what's there now, but my most recent book is there, the Woodstock from World War to Culture Wars.
right.
We also did, I got one out, my wife will kill me if I don't mention, we have a fabulous gift shop at the Historical Society in terms of local history books. All of our books are there, plus other folks too, the Blaylocks, what else have we got
Well,
there?
From History to Hearsay is there. That's Weston's
Yeah.
redo of Anita Smith, and then Gene White's little
Gene
book,
White books
Sarah
are
of
there.
Overlook Mountain.
Will Nixon's books are there.
Yeah.
It's a good collection. If you're looking for
Sanders'
local history
books.
books, get in
Yeah.
touch with us.
Yeah.
We probably have it.
See, that's an interesting sidebar. There's another place for a volunteer. We need someone that's able to do fulfillment when you sell something. We have the ability to sell something online, but you need a volunteer that can help
Handle
ship it.
Handle it.
That kind of stuff.
Are you
So-
on eBay? How does that work?
No, gosh, no. We just do through our website.
We go to our website.
Oh, that's good.
Historical Society of Woodstock.org.
And the books and things are there.
There's
Yeah.
some books for sale
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene White's book is one of them.
Yeah.
And the Neva Schultes book, I believe, is on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, which is a great little book. Yeah, that's a lot of folklore.
Yeah, Neva Schultes, well, she was the midwife in Woodstock.
Yes.
But she also wrote a lot of folklore, witches stories, ghost
Yeah.
stories, those types of things. It's a wonderful little book.
Nothing like a nurse in the home, that's the best place to learn all those little old tales that people don't necessarily always tell, and that was what she was doing, which is great. Yeah, it's definitely great. So, but the gift shop, bookshop is the heartbeat of our fundraising. I think.
Well,
in
when
some
is that?
respects.
But when is that shop
Well,
open?
It'll open, so it can be open by appointment now, for sake.
If you're looking for something, we can get it to you.
But Debbie will have it up and running by the
Every-
time the exhibits are open.
Every time the exhibits are open, it's
Yeah.
open. every weekend.
Do you think you might have it open by Memorial Day?
No,
We'll see.
probably not.
Again, we're hesitant on
Yeah.
dates because of the
Yeah.
construction. That's the only problem.
Yeah. I
As
think-
Janine said, we don't have a lot of parking. And if there's trucks parked there and backhoes or whatever it may be, we're just trying to,
I
we'll
think
know,
once
we'll
the
know better
when the
within a month.
foundation gets in, you'll have a better idea.
We'll have a better idea
Yeah,
in a month.
Yeah, yeah, I think you will, yeah.
Like I said, if it ever warms up.
Oh, don't you think it is warming up?
I don't know, we're supposed to get, 5 inches of snow tomorrow. So, and then ice after that, so I don't know.
It'll warm up. The
You
flea
think it
market's
will?
gonna open on May 17th. It'll be warm by
Oh,
then.
May 17th is when it's opening.
It'll be warm by then, yes,
Ah.
yes.
Very good.
Yes, yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, it'll be happening, so it
What
be-
year is this?
Be optimistic.
What year is this for the flea market?
This is our 48th year.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is that you have these things and you have the gift shop, and it would be nice to kind of know about it.
Well, I think you're posing a good question about how do we let people know about it. So
Yes.
we have a website. It's historicalsocietyofwoodstock.org, and so it's mentioned on there. And as we just said, there's things that are for sale there. So folks don't necessarily know about the gift shop until they get there. So you've identified a weakness. If
We also, though, you
yeah.
can go to the website and sign up for our e-blasts.
Right.
Janine handles all the Facebook and Instagram stuff.
Yep.
We have another committee that handles all the press releases. You know, we're out there. And we've gotten much better at getting the word out.
We're-
And, you
right.
know, our membership has grown greatly, and but go to the website, sign up for the e-blast or whatever, or go to the website.
Yeah, any of the social media.
Go to Facebook
Yep.
and like the Historical Society.
But you do bring up a good point about how do we let people know about the gift shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is there some kind of connection between the Historical Society and a student?
Like a volunteer?
No,
I mean, interns.
no, children.
Oh, yeah, we have an
As
education
a
committee.
matter of fact.
Oh, really? Hey, tell
And-
us about that one.
Well, they were, Joanne Margolis, who's done a lot of the archival work at the society, heads that up with Terry Lover and Jeff Place and Joel Lesker. They were just at the Woodstock Elementary School not too long ago. They took, this past summer, we had an exhibit, The Evolution of Woodstock Village, which had all these buildings from Mill Hill Road, Tinker Street, old photographs, new photographs, how has the village evolved. And it was all mounted on boards. And so Joanne and the group was able to take that down to the elementary school and show the kids how Woodstock has changed over the years. You know, from the big old hotel that used to be on the corner that burned down, those types of buildings, the early post office, you know. And so, and they're going back again
Yes.
pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
they did the 3rd and 5th, and they're going back to do the
first and,
1st and 2nd.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, it's actually been, it's just a matter of timing. I mean, Joanne Margolis has been earnestly trying to get into Woodstock Elementary School. And she'll tell you herself that it's just a matter of the stars just lined up where the administrators and the teachers were open to it now, whereas that's combination couldn't happen in the past. So it's exciting for our education committee to be able to go into that Woodstock Elementary School now.
That is a
Yeah.
huge
We've all-
accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we've
very-
also had them at the Historical Society. We have a tool shed, which, it's not a big exhibit, but it's pretty intense when you go inside.
Yeah,
Of all the old tools that were used over the years, from cutting ice on the ponds to big old saws for cutting down trees.
quarry
also-
working,
Huh?
quarry working and
Quarry work,
farm
bluestone.
implements.
And the kids have been, the students, we've had.
And field
class-
trips, yeah.
Yeah, on a field trip, you know, and they're surprised, you know. I don't, obviously, Janine and I like history, but we're disappointed in the way, you know, history is taught in schools anymore. There's not a lot of it. And and certainly not a lot of local history. So Joanne's done a great thing. Joanne used to be the librarian at the Woodstock Elementary School, so it's good that this is happening.
Well, I think it is extremely important now, with schools being in the center of controversy, that it's important to make this information available to children. You know, the history is grounding.
Sure. Yes.
And so this is really, and then you have, I'm assuming, some new families, that there's new children and new families where nobody knows anything.
It's not just the children, the parents, the new people who have arrived in town, especially since COVID.
Right.
It's educating them. You need
Yes.
to be and I talked to you about the last time I was on. I'm just as anxious to get those people involved as their kids, because I think you need to know the history of the community you live in
Oh, absolutely.
before you can make judgments about what's going on.
And if you can educate the children as the building is going up, then they will have a better understanding of what they're looking at.
Sure.
And they'll show an interest. You know, this is really a very, very nice thing because of the fact that the members of the community can see this building be constructed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not going to just appear at the end of a lovely, landscaped little sidewalk.
No, it'll be a process, and they'll know what's going up, definitely, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that is so
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, and that's good,
Yeah,
and that's
it's
the
very
way
exciting.
people learn about it.
Something we've looked forward to for 20-some years.
Really?
Easily, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Well,
So,
listen.
the Historical Society is a part of this community. We don't want to be some huge Smithsonian operation with multi-million-dollar payrolls or anything like that. Everybody involved is a member of our community, and they care about Woodstock history. And that's where the strength for the institution comes from. It's coming from the people, and the people who support us, the members.
And the more volunteers you have, the better.
Yeah, but also, people who come by and see what we do and maybe send a check at the end of the year. We get some grants, we just got a couple, but we're really homegrown. And a lot of our financial support comes from right in this town.
Yeah, members, $25 donations here
Do
and
you-
there. Yeah.
Well, listen, if a person is interested, can we talk money? How do you get the money? What kind of money?
Or if you go
Where
on-
does it go?
If you go on our website, there's the first thing you're going to see is a donate button.
Donation, yeah. Well, the money, it's membership. Membership, I don't know if this is what you were asking about, but for the organization, it's membership. For the day-to-day grind of the operations is membership, basically. And Richard spoke about a couple of grants that we just got this year are for conservation of art. So there's that different kind of money. There's the generous person that came and had a good time. That's a free will donation that they may or may not become a member, but that goes to the brick and mortar operations of the organization. And then the building donation, I mean, Jean took care of a good portion of the cost of the building, but we are raising funds to fill the building with all those accoutrements of research that Richard's talking about. So that's, I don't know if that's where you were going, but that's sort of, so the website is a good place to enter into that, and then, or, you can speak with us, call us, email us, and we can,
Where
tell
I
you
am
the
going
people
is
wanna go.
just making people aware that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
money
We've
is
been out in
needed.
the community, another committee, our Resource Development Committee, Kathy Cross runs, and for example, prior to the holidays, we had a couple different events. We invited all the businesses in town to the Historical Society one evening, and had some light refreshments and explained the building, explained our history. We had a good turnout with a lot of business folks in town. And then maybe a month before that, the original house that the Historical Society began in, the Cromer House up in Bearsville, thanks to Jason and Karen King, their descendants, opened their house, and we had a big invite of people to that. So we're reaching out as best we can. Again, all that takes time, and we're all volunteers, but we do. It's a labor of love, let's put
And
it that way.
hopefully we'll do a couple of events
Yeah,
this year that have yet to be determined, but I think there's a wine tasting.
there's a wine tasting in the
Going to
works,
happen,
yeah.
yeah, so,
Is that something you do every year?
no,
Yeah,
that's.
we've done it a couple times.
But it's not a
It's
tradition.
not a
No,
tradition, no.
no, this is
No,
a
but-
special fundraising event, which it'll be a fun fundraising event, but it'll help with the cost of the
We've
interior.
had
of
some
the building.
musicians volunteer to do a concert for us,
Yeah.
so that's kind of in the works, so.
When a musician volunteers, where do they give the concerts?
Usually next door here. Yeah.
Right, or we've had the Christian Science Church,
Or the Christian Science,
yeah,
yeah,
we've
thank
had
you,
good
yeah.
luck there too, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great little spot to have.
We have a great
yeah.
relationship with them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Gene White was a member
Our
of
neighbor,
that.
our neighbors, the Christian Science
But,
Church.
yeah, so look forward to that come
Yeah.
spring or early summer.
So for
We're
people
gonna be
to
busy.
get information about us, I think, social media is an easy place, just Historical Woodstock on either Instagram or Facebook. You'll see things will be posted there. Go to the website, historicalsocietywoodstock.org. Everything is right there. There's an email there. You'll get Richard. If you info@historicalsocietywoodstock.org, right?
Yep. Yeah,
That's-
I mean,
yeah.
how many Facebook subscribers?
Well, there's like 5,000.
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It seems like there's 5,000.
Also, if people, I'll put this word out, we're not really, until we open the new building, we're not going to be taking much new stuff in. But we're now in the period where we have to remember, if you got material, photographs, ephemera, poster, whatever, from the 60s and 70s, that's the time period we're concentrated on
Right.
getting, we'll take anything in Woodstock history, but we could use more contributions in that direction for our archives. 20 years ago, it seemed fairly recent. Now it's
Right, it's going, and then the other thing is also like a recollections. If somebody owned a business, we
Right.
can have them give us a recollection of what their business experience was in the 60s in Woodstock, things like that. I mean, there's different ways to go about that.
We just came across, somebody donated, there was a woman called, by the name of Lillian Hellstrom in Woodstock, also known as the Duchess. And she could be found, I think, at a bar most nights, usually right down the road here at the SS Seahorse. But the funny part, I was just reading part of it the other day. This is the type of stuff, if you sit there long enough, it's like all of a sudden these things pop up. Kind of like your grandmother's attic in a way. You explore things and find new things. Anyway, somebody did an interview with her, and she owned a building on Millstream Road where the School of Art started. The building's still there, but she owned a, what can I call it? It'd be nice. It was like a jazz club in the early days, 30s. And it had striped zebra furniture, jazz musicians, it was, speakeasy basically. And the great Nobel laureate writer Sinclair Lewis would occasionally come to Woodstock, and he would actually act at the Woodstock Playhouse. He came into her establishment one night, and somebody introduced Sinclair Lewis to the Duchess, and her response was, you're not much of a writer. So,
She was
there's all
that
these
kind of lady.
So,
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the anything
That's
that
the archives.
people bring in. Richard, does it a little bit more astutely than I do because he's looking at these things a little more than I am. But you can connect a lot of dots. You have little bits and pieces of information, and then when something like this comes in, it just kind
It
of
helps
makes
complete
everything
it.
congeal. The picture of somebody who not everybody remembers her. I'm going to say everybody my age remembers hearing stories about her. But as we get older, we're going to get further away from that. She'll become mythical, Louise Hellstrom.
Yeah.
She's about 5 feet tall and 100 pounds,
Yeah.
soaking wet, and
Yeah. The
fiery red
cigarette
hair,
going all the
and
time.
cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and gravelly voice, and
but those are those stories that really make the community. I say this when I write a lot of times or talk. You know, you got Burcliffe, and you got Maverick, and you got the Playhouse, and you got some great things that have happened here, okay? But in between all those places and all those events, there's lives went on. You know, people got up every morning and went to the quarry or to the tanning place on Tannery Brook, and or opened up a shop in town and whatever. Those are the stories we really need more of in Woodstock. Okay, so if you got stories like family stories, you know, Janine, like I said, Janine's the genealogist here. You know, but family stories that just are so important to me anyway. I know to Janine, to fill out that story of Woodstock. You know, yeah, you can write all you want, but you know, Burcliffe's a wonderful place and a wonderful history. Okay, who built it? You know,
Ford Herrick.
I know it is.
It's Ford Herrick, right?
Yeah,
I know, the
it's
name
important
came
know
to
the
me when you were
Herricks.
done. Yeah, the Herricks,
The
right?
Herricks are important in that story.
Right,
They
very
have other
much so.
stories that connect to you.
Right.
Well, you know, it's the people that you're talking about that provide the reality.
Mm-hmm.
When people start hearing those stories, reading those stories, talking to other people who maybe knew, you know, the descendants of those people, then you get the real pulse.
Yeah.
And that's the meat and the potatoes. I think the Historical
Well,
Society.
we just had Janine interview Magic Markey. Talk about getting real.
Right, which was a blast. And we have a YouTube channel. I think it's Woodstock Historical Society, I believe. But Magic Markey was 1968, 69 head shop.
First head shop in Woodstock.
Where
yeah.
the Garden Cafe is. And so he actually initiated the contact because he wanted to be remembered
Yeah, he lives in Florida.
for what he had done. He's older in Florida, and so we had a great 30-minute conversation, and it's on YouTube now. So that's the beginning of another way. That's why I say there's another way to get recollections.
Can we talk about the Historical Society of Woodstock YouTube? What, because
Sure.
you know, people would like to check in with YouTube.
It's
Well,
there.
actually, it gets a good traffic. You know, Richard did the first Christmas Eve program in Woodstock, and there's two of them up there, and they have a combined 2,000 views now. Every holiday season they get bumped up by 500. So yeah, YouTube is a great place to be, and we have, I think, 19 videos on our YouTube station right now. So. And
There's interviews with, there was an interview with Ed Sanders about Alf Evers, the historian. Tinker Street Cafe, Espresso Days.
the book that came out, right?
There's arts conservation, the kids who grew up, whose parents were
Remembering Woodstock, right?
Yeah.
Or kids, right? Yeah, growing up in Woodstock.
There's one on the Esopus that Toby Carey did.
Glenn Kreisberg with his archaeology
Yeah.
program. So during 20 and 21,
Especially during COVID.
we
yeah.
did a lot on Zoom. So we taped them, and so they're there. They sit there. Yeah, there's, and there'll be more. That's sort of one of my initiatives, is to get more onto YouTube for the next couple of years.
I think that's great because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that never get off of YouTube.
I-
They are the the Historical Society. Well, okay.
I'm
you're
told
on
it's a
YouTube.
search engine, and I believe the person that told me that. So, it's used as a search engine. You go into the search bar, if you're looking for something, you'll find it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And what about Instagram?
Instagram it's a great little spot. They mirror what's on Facebook, but it's more pictures and reels, and I post older pictures, or we post announcements about what we're doing, or fundraisers and different things. So it's a regular every 2 weeks or thereabouts.
Well, the interesting
alive, that's the
the
thing.
interesting thing about Instagram is that I use business cards.
Mm-hmm.
I use business cards and bookmarks and brochures and things to talk about, the healing and the classes that I offer, and et cetera, the books, whatever. My oldest daughter is in her 60s, and she is a serious artist. She's unknown in this part of the country, but very well known in the West Coast. She's Instagram.
Right,
She
sure.
doesn't have a business card. Mama, what do you do that for?
Well, there are two different modes of communication, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, but
put-
that's
yeah,
where,
I
this
wouldn't
is
put
where,
either
I
one
think
down,
that's
yeah.
our future.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that hang around. Listen, I have been known to spend a lot of time on both of those places and I'm learning things most of the time when I'm hanging out there. So, yeah, you could do both.
Well, she's not interested. So I guess between the two, I do one and she does the other. But she is very, very happy with the
Yeah.
success that she has on Instagram.
Yes.
So if people are interested in seeing the Historical Society through YouTube, that's one. And then if someone else is interested in seeing the Historical Society through Instagram, that's even better.
Yeah, actually, the thing that I like about those venues is it reaches people that are not in Woodstock, and I think
Right.
that's the key for any of that. We're going to get people that are from all over the world that are making comments on Facebook or Instagram, not so much on YouTube, but so that's what I like about that. That folks don't have to be here, but they might become members.
Right.
Or they grew up here and moved away.
Yeah, right.
So Janine will post a picture of an old building or something like that, and
Off it
put
goes.
a question out there, and off it goes.
A lot of
Next thing you know-
reminiscences, yeah. What did I do? Yesterday I posted a picture of a Grand Union ad that gave the, price of pork or meat or whatever it is. And then I find out all the people that worked in the Grand Union in Woodstock, because they all have happy memories about working at the Grand Union in the 50s. So, I mean, you just don't know what you're going to learn,
Right, and so these are very, and of course Facebook, but Facebook for me is a local thing. Instagram is planetary. YouTube, man, that's a galaxy.
It's universal, exactly. It's well put. I like the way you put that. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But you got to be everywhere, and
You do.
that's a volunteer. I happen to just be able to do it without thinking too much. Can do it real quick, like so. But that's another volunteer role that people play in the keeping an organization out in the forefront of what people are looking at. So.
Are you the one that does, I know you do the Facebook, but are you the one that does the YouTube and the Instagram as well?
Well, the YouTube is, we all make videos and Richard loads them up. He's the queue. He puts them in the queue and loads them up.
I edited them up. And
Yeah.
Put them up. I mean, we're
So
working on one right now that Janine and Louis
Louis,
Holt,
right.
the board member, did trying to put together on the Vanishing Village chapter from the book about Woodstock at the time the artists first came.
The opening chapter was a sweet story about Will Rose introducing what his town looked like. He gives a little town tour, and Louis Arlt had the great idea of he narrated it. So once you've narrated it, you need a little visual. So we spent a good 6 months putting together visuals to match the narration, and now Richard's in the editing process of it. So we all wear different hats, kind of thing. So, and then that will go up on, I made Richard a bet. I said it'll have more views than his Christmas ones. We'll see.
Well, when I was learning to write, I spent a lot of weeks going down to Gotham, week after week, year after year. And one of the things that the best teacher there talked about was the universality of the community that we live in. And he kept saying in the writing, listen, you need to let people know about Woodstock because they come from all over the world
Yep.
to,
Yeah.
and so this is an important thing.
Yeah.
And-
Well, as long as we agree the Woodstock Festival was not held here.
Listen, yes, I have spoken with 2 people in the last 24 hours about the fact that Bethel,
That still happens. We get them at the historical site. They'll come
Yep.
in.
yeah. And it's like, what? Oh my goodness, we're down to 5 minutes. Listen, can we talk for 5 minutes very quickly about how do people connect to this new building?
Well, we'll let
This
them know.
summer-
Follow us on Facebook and our e-blast. Sign up for our e-blast.
Yeah, go to the website, right?
On the website. Go to the
Yeah.
website. Sign up for their e-blast.
Historical, what is it? Refresh-
Historical Society of Woodstock.org.
Yes, Historical Society of Woodstock.org.
There's
And-
also a way you can email us, as well on there. You know, we're around. We don't go anywhere. We're not off to the Bahamas right now.
No, we're all right here, yeah.
Well, for the many tourists who come here all the time, when can they start dropping by?
Well,
We talked about that earlier, but can we talk about-
We'll start advertising,
Yeah.
once we get a firm schedule, we'll start advertising, you'll know it. It'll be in the paper, it'll be on the website, it'll be on the e-blast, it'll be on in the newspapers,
Midsummer.
Yeah.
You'll see our signs out, we have a sign.
Yes, our famous signs will be up.
Yes, and if they're interested in supporting the Historical Society of Woodstock, there are donations.
Go to the website.
Yep.
Go to the website.
Yes.
The website is the hub.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's the
Okay.
easiest thing, yeah, definitely.
Well, listen,
We
I
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. This is so exciting. I'm very excited for our community.
Well, we'll get you a tour when we get ready to give tours.
And thank you so much, Ellen. Thank
Yes.
you. We are so grateful.
Talking about Woodstock institutions.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. She herself is. Absolutely. Bye-bye, Ellen.